when I lived in Washington as a child, there was a local show on starring Jim Henson and his wife. And they didn't star in it, they were the producers. And of course it was their characters, including Kermit. So I was a longtime fan of Kermit. So when I was at HannaBarbera, I got the bright idea of let's do an animated Kermit. So I found out who the agent was, picked up the phone number and called Bernie Brillstein. And Bernie represented Jim Henson. And thus my campaign to do animated Muppets started. And Jim consistently turned me down. He really felt that he didn't want to confuse the audience with characters that are rendered as puppets to now be an animation. And I just probably once a month had lunch with his agent and wined and dined him and did everything. I just was such a fan of the property. Well, I was at the end of my tenure at HannaBarbera, I had been offered a job at Marvel to go over as its CEO and president, which was a huge jump for me. So I accepted the job. And I left HannaBarbera thinking I'll never be able to do Jim Henson's Muppets, but I'll have to give up that dream because now I'm going to Marvel. And no sooner was I at Marvel than I got a phone call from the network executive, Judy Price, who was in charge of children's programs at CBS. And she and I had become friends, and of course she was a client. We were doing a lot of shows for her. And Judy said to me, "Margaret, I thought of you because I was just flying back from New York, and in one of the magazines, like Licensing Magazine, there was a picture of the Muppets from the movie Muppets Take Manhattan. They were dressed as babies. They even looked like babies, and it was a dream sequence when Kermit and Piggy and the Muppets Take Manhattan were going through Central Park in a buggy and as babies." And she said, "I know you've always wanted to do Muppets, but what if you did something called the Muppet Babies?" I said, "That's a fabulous idea. Maybe Jim will accept that." So the rest is history. I was now at Marvel, and I called up Bernie Brillstein again, who had me set up lunch with Jim Henson, whom I had met previously, but he had been unswayed. And we talked to him about how about if we do Muppet Babies, that CBS would like the show, and we could produce it at Marvel. I know it's not a Marvel character, but Marvel is a good animation studio. And Jim said, okay. And that began a great relationship I had with Jim for all the years I was at Marvel, 6 years. We produced Muppet Babies. We won 4 Emmys, or maybe more than 4. I think yes. But it was a wonderful experience. And everything that we had wanted to do with the Muppets, we could do with Muppet Babies. You know, the concept was that they were babies in a nursery, and you never saw the nanny who took care of them. You only saw her feet. But to get out of the nursery, they would have these fantasy adventures. And so everything we would want to do with the Muppets, we were able to do because it actually was better than having the Muppets. Because kids using their imagination and dreaming about adventures, which we would then animate, works better for the baby characters than the adult characters. So we had a great run, and it was very successful. And I really have to thank not only Jim Henson, but Judy Price for coming up with seeing that little picture and getting the idea of, oh, wait, Margaret's been trying to get the Muppets. She could do Muppet Babies.